Beginning tomorrow, a Catholic summit of young people and church theologians in the U.S. will tackle Pope Francis's ongoing call for action. The Holy Father writing in a recent letter that now more than ever is the time for young adults to mobilize and build a stronger church. Paul Jarzembowski oversees youth and young adult ministries for the U.S. Bishops Conference. He joins us now. Paul, thank you for being here.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you very much.
Now, Paul, you're describing this gathering known as the National Dialogue as an opportunity to follow in Francis's footsteps. How so?
Well, it follows in the steps that Pope Francis really called for in Christus Vivit, a culture of synodality, that we engage with one another, that we discern together, that we engage in dialogue and both intergenerationally, interculturally. And so this gathering is an attempt to recreate that experience of dialogue that the Synod really started, and that we are asked to continue in that same spirit of discernment and responsibility.
And Paul, what's the history of the National Dialogue, and why should average Catholics consider it important?
Well, it was actually average Catholics, as one would call, that really where this emerged from. A lot of parishes ask their pastors, they ask their bishops, what do we do about our young people? How do we engage them better? I don't see them in the pews. My sons, my daughters, my grandchildren aren't coming to church. So those types of concerns bubbled up, and a number of national organizations who work with young people heard them, and in that process started to work towards creating this initiative several years ago. The bishops and the Bishops' Conference got on board as well and said, we certainly want to accompany these national organizations through this process. And then through over the last couple of years, we've brought together people in a sense of unity, groups that work in youth and young adult ministries and campus ministries, as well as engaging young people directly, very much like the synodal process that Pope Francis created. And so over the last several years, we've just been collecting conversations, hearing from young people and hearing from ministry leaders what's going on, so that eventually we can take what we've learned and transform that into mobilizing action.
And now the hope is that the National Dialogue will build on last October's Vatican Synod about young people. That's when the Holy Father stressed the importance of paying attention to youth. Let's listen.
Il cammino di preparazione a questo momento ha evidenziato una Chiesa in debito di ascolto, anche nei confronti dei giovani, che spesso dalla Chiesa si sentono non compressi nella loro originalità e quindi non accolti per quello che sono veramente e talvolta persino respinti.
The Holy Father is worried that young people feel rejected. How will the National Dialogue change that?
Well, part of dialogue is listening, and one of the things that we're hearing from a lot of young people and those who work with them is how much young people are overwhelmed. They're stretched beyond their limit. There's a lot of pressure, both societally, personally, in their families, in their jobs at school. And so the dialogue is looking to find solutions by pulling in some of the best practices and even hearing from the young people themselves what ideas and strategies they have, because they ultimately are the protagonists of the ministry that is all about them. So part of it is listening to suggestions they might have and being able to respond and come up with some tools that be able to tackle, so that the young people don't feel a sense of rejection or loss or feeling left out of the conversation in the church or in society.
Paul Jarzembowski of Youth and Young Adult Ministries for the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.